It won't come as a surprise that the JAC interviews are centred on their competency frameworks, and broadly there are three types of interviews. Interviews following a role play where the panel will focus primarily on your competencies. Interviews which start with a session of challenging situational questions led by a judge, and then the panel will probe your competencies. Also, for the most senior roles, a larger panel will focus on your leadership abilities as well as your competencies. Whichever interview you may be preparing for, the panels will determine your potential and make their recommendations based on how strongly you have been able to evidence these competencies. See this like a boxing match at the Olympics. You can score each time you give an example of a competency or a sub-competency. Quick combinations that hit the target will score. One big ranging haymaker may score you a point, but it may also miss. So therefore keep your stories, your answers punchy and focused on you and your actions. As we all know what the competencies are, it's not hard to guess what the questions may be. It's a bit like Prime Minister's question time. So you need to prepare stories of your experiences that demonstrate the competencies. Write these potential questions down and then work out and rehearse your answers. It's apparently what the PM does with his team every week. Now, given that 86% of communication is non-verbal, how important do you think body language, eye contact and your tone of voice are? At the end, I'll share where you can find a link to the excellent TED Talk by Amy Cuddy from Harvard on the power of body language in interviews. I strongly advise all my judicial interview candidates to watch it. However, to coin an old advertising phrase, it's the sizzle, not the sausage, that sells. So let me give you an example about what I mean. Which is the best example of persuasion? Firstly, a student volunteering on a helpline taking a call from a distressed young man at 1 a.m, who's climbed onto a roof and says he's going to jump. She spends 3 hours talking him down. Secondly, a student persuades his friends to have milk delivered to their council flat. On the face of it, her story is so much stronger, yet when you think about it, was it a cry for help from someone who wanted attention? And I know how tough it was to persuade my mates to get the milk delivered. Yet her story is so much more compelling, and I rate her example as much stronger than mine. Bring characters, detail and emotions into your stories to make them appeal to your interviewers and to help you more effectively demonstrate the competencies. I've only had time to share a few headline thoughts with you, but there are some further tips and a link to the video I mentioned here. In summary, think about the possible questions you may be asked, prepare and rehearse several punchy stories or examples for each question, and watch Amy's video. Finally, aim to enjoy the interview as much as possible and try and turn it into a conversation. All rise.